A man who's never been in a non-hostile work environment. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice but to get on. You managed to get it on now. Mayhem's here. Chrissie Mayr's here. Chrissie's a very funny stand-up comedian. Got a podcast as well. Chrissie Mayr podcast. And then also live dates. Doing stand-up. So you can go to her website. Chrissie, MAYR.com for all live shows. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So congrats. You got a young child.
Yes, the last time I was here to do your show with Dr. Drew, I had just found out I was pregnant. I was like... And when people hear like, oh, you just found out. No, I was like 7 weeks pregnant. I became one of those women that I make fun of. Like, how do you not know you're pregnant? But I had a summer. I was drinking White Claw. And I was just like, why is my tolerance shit? You know? And, well, I found out.
You're drinking for two.
I was drinking for two. But like, turns out like you can drink up until 7 weeks. And you want, this is not medical advice, but I was worried for several weeks. I'm like, I'm retarded. But it's between 7 and 12 weeks where the alcohol really does the most damage. So I got it right in.
They do. So the medical profession they didn't do themselves any favors because they've been lying for a long time about a lot of stuff. And what they do is they sort of say, because if you study them, you know, they say things like, if you go, what if I just smoke one cigarette a day? They go, just as bad as smoking a pack of cigarettes.
How could that be?
I know. I go, what if I just had one Girl Scout cookie, same as eating 3 boxes? It's like, is it? I don't know. Or let's do a reverse engineering. Maybe this will work. What if I jog for half a block? Is that same as a marathon? Is this how it works?
Yeah, I jogged to get the mail.
So they do a lot of like, yeah, just as bad. And it's basically, you can see it all through the lens of the, 58,000 Americans die of secondhand smoke every year. Nobody dies of secondhand smoke. They invented something called third-hand smoke.
Oh, right, when it's on your clothes.
And it's when it's in the sweater of the heterosexual white older guy who hugs his retarded nephew. That it's in his sweater.
Hugs.
I pet his dog and I got 4th degree.
That's right, right. It's in the curtains. It's in the guy's cardigan. But here's my whole point. If you gave these guys 2 beers, if they weren't pregnant, if you gave them 2 beers and you said, really? So a glass of white wine when you're 3 weeks pregnant, they'd go, hey, we just don't want the bitches drinking. You understand?
They really don't want us. They want us focused.
We're just gonna lie. We don't want them smoking, so we'll just say one cigarette's as bad as a pack. Because by the way, if they're smoking 1 cigarette, they're smoking 12 cigarettes. They're not smoking 1 cigarette. So we'll just tell them that. We'll tell them that AIDS is an equal opportunity killer. You know what I mean? But heterosexual. We want people to wear condoms. You understand? So we were going to lie to everyone about everything, and then we just rolled right into COVID, man. And they just went, oh, now we got a big canvas to lie on.
Yeah, now we got him.
Now we got him, and we're going to lie our asses off.
Oh, 6 feet? Sure, that sounds good. That takes care of the secondhand smoke. No hugs. Hugs are out of the question now.
No hugs, no third-hand smoke being transmitted. No Thanksgiving. Yeah, so what they did is... So what they do is they lie, but they lie not because they're evil, but in COVID, yes, that was the case in many cases. But the politicians were evil, but they lie to get you to do what they want you to do, but it's no different than your mom going, you eat those vegetables because there's kids in Africa that don't have garbanzo beans. You know what I mean? And you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with it?
Yeah.
How's I going to transport this salad to Africa?
Yeah, I as a kid, I was like, I guess I'm going to put these string beans in an envelope and mail them off.
Send them to Darfur. Yeah, better put some foil around those things. They could go bad on the train ride.
Like, I guess they don't have cigarettes either.
Yeah, so, but people will go, well, look, that's a mom trying to get their child to eat vegetables. So you would go, all right, that's not a bad mom. You know, we've all been there. You know, it's a little version of the boogeyman.
Right. It's
you know,
like,
if you
don't
go to
pick
bed.
your nose, or like, your face is going to stay like that, or.
Oh, it's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He's keeping a list. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's July, but he's got that list.
Oh, he's been watching.
He's watching. Right. So that's what it is, except for it's Santa Claus for tax-paying adults.
Yes,
That's what COVID ran into.
My dad
Yeah.
pointed at a lady at Disneyland that had Down syndrome and told me that's what happens when you suck your thumb.
No,
Oh.
stop it. Have you seen these videos of these like
Never
hot
suck my
girls?
thumb.
There's like videos of like hot retarded girls,
Listen,
like all
I
over
saw her.
viral.
Don't worry. Wood.
Wait
Everybody
a minute.
would.
Oh, I thought you were getting wood.
Yeah, I know. There's a Down syndrome lady. There's hot. Got them cakes. I'm telling you, Adam Carolla, in your younger days, you might have got after it.
Oh
Well,
my
I
god! And then they have all these comments. There's a video where they put the comments
Everybody's-
together, and
yep.
it said like,
It's the hot
it
meme
doesn't
of
matter. Doesn't matter who the baker is. Cake is cake. If she's down, I'm down. Like these comments were
I'm a
hilarious.
chromosexual.
Yes, girl.
Oh, that's good. Who are... I have not seen any of these. I want
Oh,
to
you
see them.
have to watch it.
Yeah, it's taking the internet by storm.
Now,
Carolla.
is it a dusting of down or a full dipping and down?
It's a dusting because her body doesn't look retarded. It's you know, the
her
boobs
body,
aren't
somebody
retarded.
put her to the gym, told her what exercise to do, and she said, okay, I'll do them.
Not only is she in the gym, but she's in like a hot girl gym outfit. She's like tight yoga pants, tight top. It's like
Yep.
a crop top, and she's like she knows what she's working with. It's just scary when you're also retarded, you know. Because if that's your son, if that's your daughter or friend, you're like, don't put a sweatshirt on. You're retarded. Like you're not, you know.
What?
Oh.
Wait, let it fly.
Oh, let me say this. All right, hold on.
That's
Hold on.
That's one of them.
That's
Hold
one
on
of
a
them.
second.
They're taken by storm.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Pause. You may pause. Thank you. All right. I knew a guy once, and maybe this is kind of what we're talking about. There was a retarded guy who worked at ABC, and he was in the Special Olympics. And he would, you know, of course, every Special Olympics that rolled around, he got a medal because they don't. That's the way they roll over there.
just
They're not
show
gonna-
up.
Yeah, they're not going to
Yeah.
tell the fourth kid who came in fourth place he didn't podium and he can go home with an empty bag. You know, everyone gets the thing.
Yeah.
He would put all the medals on and show up at work.
Hell yeah.
But
Reminding
that's what a
people.
7-year-old would do, right? Now, this guy's 37, but right. So if a retarded woman found out she had a smoking hot body, she'd probably want to wear a bathing suit
to work.
to work, right? Like because
100%.
it's like wearing the medals around your chest. Like, hey,
Right.
I'm getting all this attention, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mere metaphors, just solid. Carolla.
Let's see if we can find.
There's a particular, she's in like a crop top and long yoga pants. She's walking around in the gym.
And she's got banging participation medals.
Jugs.
She got
and
jugs.
she's looking at the camera like she's literally,
She's owning it.
she knows she's ringing
slaying.
the dinner bell, you know?
I really
like she,
like this. I feel like, God bless her heart.
Does the Down syndrome, you know, how much does it mess with the bod? Because it seems to affect it, but there are plenty of short, stubby women that have zero Down syndrome, you know, so it's not necessarily relegated to just everyone who's built this way because everyone knows somebody who's built that way who doesn't really have any
Yeah.
Down syndrome.
I remember all the retarded people I've ever seen are like a little bit out of shape. So maybe I thought, well, they're retarded. They
Well,
don't know
that-
they have to work out. They don't know what they look like. But clearly now they do. They've
Well, and
evolved.
also, if you're gonna have a bad shape, if you have a 9-year-old's mentality and the metabolism of a 44-year-old,
Yeah.
you're gonna get into trouble because you're gonna want to have Crunchberry cereal for breakfast every day.
Yep.
As a 9, you know, there's a big box of C's candy in the next room, and the only thing stopping me from devouring that is my mind goes, your metabolism is old, bro, and it isn't going to work. But if I was 9, I'd be up in that fucking thing and fighting people that came near me.
This is not the video I'm thinking of.
It'll never-
Oh, there it is. There it is. Go down and to the right. No, shoot. That's not it. If you just like, 'cause
She's
you
the one that
could
got
you
away.
What
Google
is this?
retarded gym girl?
What what are these videos, and then why are we attracted to them? Why have they become a thing?
I think men see a hot retarded girl and they go, I have a chance.
Right.
You know, it's like a wounded deer. You know, it's like when the really hot girl is like out during the weekend and she's drunk and she's stumbling. It's like I could catch her when she falls.
Don't you think that? So we're like hyenas, and there's a pack of gazelles.
Yes.
And they're running from us, and we can't keep up with them, but one of them's lame. One of them's got a bad paw, you know, and they start falling behind, but they're the best looking gazelle. And we can catch up to them.
It's the
also,
best of both worlds.
don't you think, like, no woman I've ever been with is ever interested in anything I'm interested in?
Oh, no, really?
Well, I like vintage car racing. They don't like old Datsun 510 B sedan class or whatever. They don't go anywhere near that shit, you know? They also, I shouldn't say no ever, but in general, the stuff what do I like? Oh, I like construction. I like UFC. I like vintage race cars. Shit like that. They're like, I'm not into that. But a retarded chick.
She might pose on one of the race cars. She might,
I'm saying I show her how shiny it was and how cool it was, and have people give her a lot of positive reward when she looked at the car and stuff. How
comfortable the back seat of the car is.
Yeah, I mean, there's no back seat, but I metaphorically, I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a transmission hump and a roll bar, but is this the one we're talking about?
No, I should find it.
We're on the hunt.
So what are these vids? Is there a label for these vids?
No, this is just a new phenomenon. This literally happened like today or yesterday,
this
where
week
somebody made a
trending.
great video of just a hot, retarded chick, and, the world has never been the same.
And how do we know they're not doing a sort of Jim Carrey on us? You know what I mean? He can make his face look pretty retarded,
This
you know?
lady looks, chromosome short or extra. I don't know which.
All right.
Down syndrome, Jim. Maybe
All
if we
right.
look in YouTube.
All right. Now, what you got to give us some key words so we can
Listen,
find
she's
this
doing
hottie.
it like that's. I don't know if I'm retarded, but that's what I would guess.
Is there? I mean, I'm trying to think. Would there be mayhem if you were dating retarded chick?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Would
Okay.
there be a huge chasm? Conversationally.
There'd be some arguments about peanut butter and jelly.
What? Right, because what's the difference between a retarded girl and a 22-year-old?
Yeah, like just your basic hottie 22-year-old who was really into the Kardashians or something. Would it be that different? You'd have to sit there and endure a bunch of dumb conversations about the Kardashians and the Real Housewives or whatever it is they were into. A lot of Blake Lively team talk, you got to pick a side, and you're just sitting there going,
Yes, Love is Blind. Sounds like a great show.
Yeah.
You guys are describing my girlfriend.
Maybe some of this is based on that special needs dating show.
Oh, you're
Love
right.
on the Spectrum?
Love on the Spectrum.
I love
it's a
that
Neil
show.
Diamond song, too.
never
Love
got to
on
see
the
it.
Spectrum. Ain't no surprise. Pull up a handicap plate and I'll tell you some lies. Love on the rocks. Remember, that was Neil Diamond.
Keep eating crayons.
Keep eating crayons and eating sugary cereal.
Don't forget the handicap placard when we go out on a date.
Yeah. Oh, man. We're all surely going to hell.
Go to hell.
All right, but what is this vid? Mayhem, come on. Go look in your search history, will you?
Yeah,
think
I
it's
don't
in my
want to bust
Twitter.
that out.
No, I know. You don't want people to know what you're looking at. But
Somebody.
but for the sake of the show, for Christ's sake.
Man,
I
I know.
gotta
We
find
really
it
got to
again.
see it. Yeah.
All right, so
I sent it to someone. I got it.
You did?
I got it.
Okay.
Man.
all right, so this is an attractive Down syndrome woman working out.
There's a version of it where it's set to music and they scroll the comments and it's just the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
And people are in support of this.
People are in support of this. I mean, men are like, okay, good. Look, they've come along. They've really come a long way. And I think maybe women and mothers, like I as a mother look at that and go, uh-oh, like who's watching her? Like
Okay, can we let's get an informal survey. Can we do this? informal survey. Men, average man. And now, I guess we can go around and do it, but let's really just think about guys under 30. Guys under 30. Because in a weird way, I'm set in my ways. You know what I'm saying? But are you ready, Mayhem?
Yeah.
A trans woman. You know, like one of those Brazilian ones.
We talking a hot one? Wait,
when I say Brazilian, I mean hot.
Thai.
Thai trans.
All right.
Thai trans woman who's a good solid 9.2. Like, parts gone, surgery successful. Successful surgery, but was a dude for her first 26 years of life. Okay? Now, do you have sex with the trans, formerly a dude, now an attractive lady who's a 9, or do we do heterosexual lady, always been a lady, Down syndrome, 5.5?
I didn't know where you were going.
5.5. Where do we go? Where do we go here?
Oh, but I say I just have the most ungodly threesome of all time.
Oh, you bring both into the boudoir.
This thing.
One choice means you are gay, and the other choice is like, all right, you just wanted to take the easy road.
But some of those trans chicks are hot.
You're either gay or the worst. Yeah. I don't know.
Or a predator.
What mental age of consent is there? I think this whole thing is a little bit.
Right.
Well, here's how we work the age of consent.
Yeah.
We go. In fact, the woman with Down syndrome is 31 years old, but has the capacity mentally of a 9-year-old. So the law means like you just had sex with a 9-year-old. See what I'm saying? No?
Yeah. What age do retarded people become actual adults?
Well, can I say this? They have the longevity experts have your chronological age, and then they'll go, this is your age in longevity. Like, do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you exercise? So they go, this guy's a 70-year-old guy, but his number's only 61. And then there's 61-year-old guys who are 75, hard-working, hard-drinking, construction guys, whatever. So we have to figure out your age.
But she's lacking a prefrontal cortex.
Your retarded age and your regular age.
What your driver's license says, not that you've been issued a driver's license. Right.
Like dog years.
All right. Did you send that to somebody?
No.
Well, get on it. Dawson, what do you do?
Well, you made that really clear and easy with the last statement with the mental capacity of a 9-year-old. Because let me tell you a little story.
Hold on. Do we go with the Thai woman who's a 9? Or do we go with...
I got to explain myself.
5.5.
I got to caveat this.
Okay. All right.
I was once in Buenos Aires with our good friend Alan Parsons, standing outside of a restaurant with drummer Danny Thomas, and coming up towards us is 2 very short Hispanic men escorting a 6'4" brick of a woman. The most beautiful thing we had ever seen coming down the street towards us.
I know where this is going.
Go ahead.
Got about 15 feet away, and I'm like, Danny, it's a dude. Danny, it's a dude. Danny, it's a dude. And so, because I was so impressed and purely on strong ethical and moral grounds, I'd have to go the tranny.
You go the tranny.
I can't go a 9-year-old mentally.
I've dated actresses that were mentally 13 when they were 31. I mean, you know what I mean? They never fucking heard of the Doobie Brothers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's all over the place.
Yeah, but you should have seen this. You should have seen this one. It made it easy.
You're right. All right. That's a surprising answer, but I respect it. All right. We can airdrop the video to Ace's search or whatever. I'm being told.
Ace's search, yeah.
All right. And
we're talking post-op, right?
Yeah, post-op.
No, I'm saying push that dick out the way and get to work, Dawson.
Okay, I hope that went through.
All right, if that goes through, then we'll look at that.
The cert, man, God bless your heart. I can't believe we got that.
Yes, okay.
She's got a little...
Okay.
I'm telling you, she got those lips, you know what I mean? She's something.
My God.
She's something.
All right, let's watch.
Yeah.
Angelina slowly.
46. OR.
Can I-
Only retards.
Can I say this, Scarlett? Wait a minute. Slow Hansen.
Anna Hathaway.
The internet is undefeated.
I want to say this is why America is America.
Yeah.
Like other
Yeah.
cultures and countries don't get it.
They're
They
not
don't
doing this in
understand
France.
this. They just don't. They don't have this one weird thing that we have. This shit.
And the
this
beginning
shit.
of this video is her walking around.
Oh, okay, we can
It's
take
such-
a look at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's such a strange mix of like, it's not exactly mean spirited. You know, everybody's saying positive.
It's very
but it's just a
nice-spirited.
funny situation that, you know, God had blessed her with this extra chromosome and hot body.
If I was retarded and hot, I would still want the attention. And I think retarded people want the attention even more because aren't they always like, I remember the special ed kids at my school, like my high school, the teachers were always pulling them off each other. They're always making out and rubbing up
Really?
against
Well, I mean, look,
think
you
so.
just all you have to do is do a kind of a math. You know, like mentally, this is where you are, which is to say, like, look, getting back to the aforementioned guy who worked at ABC. You know, if I was 7 and you know I was playing for the East Valley Trojans and the day before was Jersey Day, where they gave you a jersey with your name on the back of it, then guess who would show up at Colfax Elementary for the 2nd grade wearing his fucking jersey on Monday? You know what I mean? Like that's
course, yeah.
Now I surely wouldn't do that. By the time I got to high school, they had Friday day, because Friday night lights is the game. The varsity football team would wear their jerseys to school that day. I deem that gay, but not gay in a homosexual Dawson wants to fuck a tranny kind of way. But in a
Thanks
like
for being clear.
Yeah, I did it in a that's lame. Like everyone knows I play football. I'm the best player on this team, and I don't need to wear my stupid jersey tucked in my sweatpants all day to prove. So I decided. By the time I was 17, I thought that shit was lame. But when I was 7, I would have definitely worn the jersey in. And that's what it's like in perpetuity. If you have Down syndrome,
Okay.
you're perpetually 7. So there's going to be a lot of whatever that activity is at 7. And this is also an argument I've made many times about the writers of children's books. I always say, everyone thinks you're a hero for writing for 6 and 7-year-olds. You're really writing for adults with Down syndrome. Like, you don't look at yourself as an author for kids. Look at yourself as an author for retarded adults because they go, he has the mentality of a 7-year-old. Yeah, so that 42-year-old would like your shitty children's book because it's a mentality of a 7-year-old, which is essentially retarded. Otherwise, they wouldn't say the 44-year-old had a mentality. They'd pick another animal or something. They go, he's as smart as a lowland gorilla or something, or whatever.
This is becoming
A koala bear. No, they go, that 45-year-old dude has the mentality of a 6-year-old, which means he's retarded.
Yeah.
And it means 6-year-olds are retarded.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
Kind of. Yeah.
But they grow out of their retardation.
All right, I'll change my mind if she reads The Cat in the Hat to me.
How about hop on pop,
There
bro? Greatest stoner laugh in the business, Dawson.
Yeah.
All right, do we have her walk up or her workout or whatever we
This
couldn't
lady
find
is
it?
a certified star. Like people already know her, you know, and that one just set her off to the next level of internet stardom. But I have seen this lady previously working
You
out.
have?
And yeah, it comes up somehow
For
on the feed.
a time, people thought that it was a regular
AI.
woman using
They
a
thought
filter.
it was a filter.
Oh, really?
I was
Yeah.
like, what kind of a
But
woman would
just
make
mayhem.
themselves look retarded?
Question has to be asked.
Yeah. What's on my algorithm?
No.
Oh.
Can you train them to fight?
Hell yeah! Listen, there's already
Right.
been that.
You
could
can
look
already-
that.
you can
We're
already
gonna
train
go down
them
the
to-
rabbit hole of Down syndrome. There's a Down syndrome fighter out there. He did his thing. I seen him video He did all right. He didn't really know what he was doing. Somebody didn't take it light on him and beat the hell out of this guy.
I mean, we can already train them to bag groceries.
Hayes, it's happened, but
I don't
and
like
you want to
that.
go deep down the rabbit hole, Hayes? Now just unlock the doors to Japan. Japan had a whole tournament of Down syndrome dudes. They had guys with no legs and arms fighting each other. Listen,
Damn.
you just don't even want to go down the Special Olympics of Thailand prize fighting of dudes with deformities.
So these were like just torsos fighting. What were they fighting with?
Yes, exactly. They're just throwing lumps at one another.
Oh my God.
In Muay Thai shorts, nonetheless.
Oh man. Now
Just two spuds.
How's that work? Does that just like half a pillowcase at that
I
point?
don't know how it works. It felt like a fever dream. I felt like I was on drugs coming out like Apocalypse Now. The horror.
You've done your fair share of ground and pound, but if that guy had Down syndrome and he was on his back, would you be dropping
Buddy,
elbows?
It would be down and pound.
You take your pinky up and elbow down and pound.
Down
Yeah.
and pound.
Oh,
No
down
mercy.
No mercy.
Like the Cobra
He
Kai
stepped
gym.
in there.
Yep.
He knew what he was getting into.
I just feel like once the guy with Down syndrome got dropped onto his back, he just couldn't drop those
Should have
elbows.
never laced them up. Show no mercy.
I think Mel Gibson ended up showing mercy in Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Look, man. Yeah. The reality of the situation is the guy had Down. You in the position to finish him. Maybe get a tap out instead of a ground and pound knockout.
Okay. All right.
That's my.
Yeah. Break his femur. Sure. All right, I got stuff. Well, you guys can look for that vid, or you can airdrop it, or something. I got other things to
Let's
to
move
get into.
on. I feel dirty after that. Ugh.
So it was brought to my attention that L.A. has a parking ticket problem, which is an interesting story. Which is they spent $160,000 issuing parking tickets. Sorry, $160 million. It cost LA $160 million with personnel and equipment and everything to write tickets, but they only got back $100 million. So they came up $60 million short, and we have a deficit. But we'll play the news story. It's a little long, but it's kind of interesting if you can find it. And then I'll get into something more interesting that has to do with Chicago parking tickets.
Tickets. In fact, the city of Los Angeles gives out close to 2 million parking violations every year, but city leaders say it's not enough. In fact, city leaders say the cost of giving out those parking tickets is more than the revenue they bring in.
KTLA's John Fenolio joins us live from Larchmont Village with more on what appears to be a parking ticket crisis. John.
Yeah, Sharon, Micah, that's right. Anyone who's received one of these brilliant $73 citations for street cleaning knows that the pain of parking in the city of Los Angeles is no joke. That said, the city is actually losing more money on parking enforcement than it is from taking in all those citations. They're expensive and annoying, but a painful fact of city life. Nobody likes parking citations. But now there may be a reason to dislike them even more.
The city of Los Angeles is spending tens of millions of more money each year on parking enforcement than it's actually pulling in from the parking tickets handed out.
John Rigardi is the managing editor of Crosstown LA, a nonprofit newsroom focusing on data-driven journalism. He's referring to this new article by Nathan Elias, who points out that over the last 9 years, spending has outpaced revenue.
We've actually been looking at data going all the way back to 2016. So we've seen a shift in time, and it has worsened over the past few years. And then we got to a situation where in the last fiscal year, there was about a $65 million shortfall between what the city took in and what it spent on parking enforcement.
He says that can be attributed to rising costs for salaries, pension contributions, equipment, and other expenses. The COVID pandemic, when parking enforcement was temporarily suspended, only made matters worse. Last year, the city collected over $100 million in parking fines, but still not enough to cover the cost of operating the city's Department of Transportation Parking Violations Bureau, which spent $176 million last year alone, according to the city's annual budget report.
All right. We're fucking nuts. We're so bad.
Wow.
We're so bad. But listen, everybody, I don't know how many times I say this. When you just give people money and tell them we'll pay you whether you do your job or not or hang out or whatever, all these bloated city, all these fucking federal employees and city employees, they don't give a fuck. And then I was looking, first off, imagine that. You're making people miserable and you're losing money in the process. But then I saw this article that in Chicago in 2008, they sold their parking meters, the rights to their parking meters to United Arab Emirates, right? That's Chicago, by the way. That's deep blue Chicago. Well, let me tell you something. Chicago, you're real progressive folk over in Chicago. The UAE, they don't treat their lady friends that well. But you sold these guys. These guys, women need a male guardian's approval for marriage, which is interesting. I wrote a few highlights down. Men can unilaterally divorce their wives, just announce it, not deal with it. Employers can require male guardianship permission to let women work. They basically, loosely based on Islamic law, they're allowed to discipline your wife using Islamic law. And what was the one? There was one, Andrew, the one I wanted the most you didn't put on there, which is in court, women's testimony only count as half an opinion, which that's just accurate. Has anyone ever heard a woman's accounting of something? I need to stand there like an interpreter, and they start talking about what happened, and I go, yeah, no, we weren't parked out front. We were parked there. Well, then this guy comes out. He's swinging a butcher knife. He was moving his hands, but he didn't have a butcher. Like, I have to work as an interpreter. So imagine her up on the stand at this point and no interpreter, But yes, all right. The point is this place ain't great to ladies. Chicago never stops having marches for ladies and loves the ladies, but they sold all the rights to their meters, to their parking meters, to the place that doesn't love the ladies, which is interesting.
I guess it's
maybe Chicago doesn't love the ladies as much as we thought. I don't know. Well, let's ask the gays for Palestine. I don't know. But then I was kind of reading the article, and Dawson, maybe you have it or the tweet or something there you can take a look at, because I can't really read from here, but I think they want to buy it back. But I just had this thought. But Dawson, you can give us a heads up, and then I'll give you my commentary.
Can Chicago get out of the parking meter deal? Short answer, no, not easily. The 75-year deal until 2083 is legally binding, and getting out of it would be extremely costly. Options for exiting the deal would be buy back the lease, which would cost billions, prove breach of contract, but no major violations have been found. They can renegotiate terms, but any minor...
But why did they sell it at the top? Did they talk about selling it in the first place to the UAE? Or where would that article... Somebody be ready with that article, especially if we talk about off the air.
Yeah, this is actually just a picture of the article, so we'll find the whole thing.
All right.
When I was in LA last...
Why are we getting into this before we get on the air? We got to find that stuff. All right. We can find that article.
You better be careful. You're going to get Khashoggi.
Last time I was in LA, I got a traffic ticket for... They ended up taking a picture of me. They're like, we know you ran a red light. They send you the picture that they take of you in your car. And I had my friend, my opener, Keanu, next to me. And what was funny is that they actually put a circle around the passenger's face. I was like, why did they do this?
They blanked it out.
They blanked it out. And I'm
in case somebody's cheating on their wife and they got their other lady in the car.
This was so incredible to me, because I was like, wow, they actually want to protect the privacy. Like, here's this ticket that I think I had to pay like $500 or $700. It was insane. And I was
fast thinking that.
I got busted.
Yeah.
I got busted cheating that way.
Oh, what?
I did.
Stop.
Well, no.
That's crazy.
The picture, it looked like nobody was there.
Oh.
And my wife was like, "Oh, you're just driving alone?" And I was like, "No, I was getting a blowjob." And I realized I shouldn't have said anything, because in the picture it looked like nobody was there, and I should just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I should have just went, "Yeah, I'm driving alone." You know what I mean?
But you thought, let me tell her before.
I just blurted out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was dumb. I know. When you
my
look
God.
back on it,
You should have waited to see.
you should just not said anything.
I feel your pain, dude.
Because all it was a picture of me driving alone. You couldn't see her.
Wow. Oh my God.
You know?
Yeah, you could have been safe.
I had to open my
Had to
mouth. She
open
had to
your
open
trap.
her mouth.
Wow.
You know?
Were you actually driving and the person was able to like get it done?
Yeah,
That's commendable.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have said anything because in the picture, just like I was alone. You know what I
Why is
mean?
there a random person?
Like I could have went. Like I was just going to the gym. Alone.
You're like, look how happy Adam is driving to the gym. Wow. He's really happy in his car.
Why is your T-shirt in your mouth?
Why can't I see your belly?
All right, wherever that article is, somebody got it or we don't have it?
I got the article from the top.
All right, get
here.
rid of the screen and then put whatever other information you need on the screen, like Dawson's ready with the article. All right, here we go.
Every time a Chicagoan shells out money to drive on the Skyway, park on the metered streets of Chicago or downtown in a public garage like the Millennium Park Garage, keep in mind that those dollars go to outside investors, not the city. As Chicago undergoes the 2025 budget season, hunting for creative ways to close a nearly $1 billion gap shortfall.
What? Chicago?
Yeah.
What's up with these blue cities?
Memories of former Mayor Daley privatizing the city's profitable assets haunts City Hall, especially the 2008 parking meters deal.
So the money goes to the UAE,
Wow.
and we can't get it back from them because they're making money off it. And they must have investors.
This happened in
for it.
2008, right? So
Yeah.
that was at the bottom of the market. Everything crashed, so the
We were
the
desperate.
city
Yeah.
needed money.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was creative at the time. But here's the thing. Any more, Dawson? Or you got it?
Let me scan this and see if there's
Okay.
anything important to point
All
out.
right. So here's the thing. If we outsourced, if Los Angeles outsourced all of its parking enforcement, meter, and what have you, revenue generators to an outside consortium who needed to return on their investment, they would fix this shit immediately because they'd go, we just lost $65 million last year, and our investors are getting kind of pissed off. So we're gonna fucking trim the fat. We're gonna expedite shit. We're gonna clean this shit up, and we're gonna get it working so we can have a return of investment on our investors. But if you just go to the city and you go, no one's ever going to lose their job, and who gives a fuck how much taxpayer money we lose, that's where you get this. And that's what I keep saying to everybody. They go, you don't want private business in charge of, I go,
Yes,
the
you
fuck
do.
I don't. Yes, I do. By the way, you guys, they do this thing all the time. They go, they want to shut down the Department of Education.
Good.
What do you guys got? Let's just talk results. You act like it's going to be cataclysmic if you shut down the whatever department. Math scores in the basement, reading in the basement, dropout levels in the basement, graduate. Show me the part where you guys are achieving anything. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's like they go, you don't want to fire the coach of the team that's 2-15 every year? Yes, I do. What do you mean you're going to fire? He yields bad results. Why is that shocking to you?
Yeah.
Well, what about the players? I don't know. I bet they'd like to win. How about that? What
Yeah.
about the kids? I don't know. Which kids? The kids that are failing or the 2% that aren't?
Yeah, are we waiting till we're 0? Are we waiting till the math and reading levels are at like 10%?
It's this weird thing where they go, you want to hand over this to the... Yeah, I'll bet those guys from the UAE are making sure that they get a nice return on their investment every single year, all those miles away in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because they're invested in it.
Yeah, it's like the mob.
Sorry,
collecting.
Dawson.
Mayor Daley inked the infamous 2008 parking meter deal to avoid property tax hikes and look more favorable to taxpayers, but it was short-sighted return investment. In the deal, the city received a one-time payment of a little more than $1 billion by leasing the parking meters to the investment bank Morgan Stanley and other private investors for 75 years. The investment company that owns a large stake in the parking meters is based overseas in Abu Dhabi, capital of the United Arab Emirates. At the time, the Chicago Reader wrote, eventually, the private company will make a fortune off the deal. But by then, Everyone now running the city will be gone.
All right. So they like to get it back, but they can't. It was also weird. Like, what can't somebody sell? You know what I mean? Like, you have to. Some guy was just staring at a parking meter in downtown Chicago going, I bet there's some Arab dudes like to get their coffee paws on this thing. And they go, what? What if I broker a deal? And you'd just be like, what the fuck are you talking? I get selling a used car, but selling the rights to a parking meter, but we're there.
Yeah.
It's sort of, you know what it's like? When I was a kid, you would pass billboards for advertisement, and that was about all. You see a TV commercial. Now you see cars wrapped with shit.
Ads,
There's just guys writing Golden Palace on their back before they get into the ring. You know what I mean? Like, we literally will advertise anything anywhere now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. YouTube, they're throwing ads for all kinds of stuff on your videos. And yeah, like the car, you could drive around for cheap or free cars that have like ridiculous ads on them.
I know there's Abu Dhabi, but is there a Arab Emirate called Yabba Dabba? Because I would fucking love, I would love to live in Yabba Dabba
for the ribs.
All right. We got the news. Do we find the Down syndrome lady with the rack?
She was trying to find it.
I'm trying to send it. There it goes. And then I have, I think, one more.
Because I'm fascinated by
I have
this
my
gal.
husband on the case, and I have something that's going to ruin everybody's day. It's a woman using a filter.
She is?
What?
Yeah.
It's a hot chick with a filter?
It's a hot chick with a filter. This is
She got the Down with That app?
Yep. Let me download it.
Man.
And that's the video of her walking around.
Sorry, give us the top. Oh, she's doing the Down
And it's
syndrome
on
filter.
Instagram. God damn it. How do I send something on Instagram?
Nothing is true on the internet.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
No, how could
So
they?
who blew the lid off this case? Did your husband find out?
My husband's on the case. Yeah.
Yo.
He found it because, this is the kind of research I have him doing for me while he
Why
watches
do they lie?
while he watches our baby.
So this was a Down syndrome filter.
Damn
Yes.
it, we're duped again, Carolla.
I've told you guys many, many times. Hey, how old's that kid of yours?
11 months.
Okay, good. Plenty of time to use the Down syndrome filter. Now listen, I want you to hear me, Chrissy. I want you to really focus. You showed me a lovely picture of your son. He looked very healthy and quite capable. But I don't want you showing that picture to any future bosses.
Really?
No.
No?
I want you to use the Down syndrome filter. Okay, what's the boy's name?
Frankie.
Frankie's perfect. It's a perfect
Is that a
retarded
retarded name? Oh,
Not
man.
saying you're retarded. I'm saying the name is retarded.
What about Frank?
Frank not as retarded. Go with Frankie.
Frankie, baby.
We had a retarded person in my high school named Frankie
Do
Cavoli.
you want your husband? He's a normie, right?
Yes.
He's a regular job guy.
As far as I know.
House husband or something.
No, he's got a regular job.
What's his job?
Well, he books and produces comedy shows. He helps me with my podcast, and he also has like another regular day job.
Okay, none of those are regular jobs. Helping book a podcast is not a... Okay. Let me just say this to everyone listening. You got that beautiful picture of your son. Anyone who's listening, do this. I've told people to do this over the years. They don't listen to me. But now with the filter, this is going to work. I swear to God, this is going to work. What if I just said to everybody, look, would you like a never-ending excuse to get out of work for the rest of your life without ever being asked a question? If you want to go fishing any day you want, any day of the fucking week, you want to go surfing when the swell comes in, or maybe you just want to take a me day.
Oh, my God.
Get that picture of your boy.
Wow.
Put the Down syndrome filter on it. Name him Frankie. And then,
done.
first day of work, when you're meeting the boss, they go, "You married, man? I'm married. I got a beautiful..." That's Frankie. He's special.
He's drooling a lot.
And you show him, and you try to hold back a little,
contact.
hold that tear back a little, and you
Yeah.
go, "He's braver than I would ever dream of being." and the boss goes, "Oh, I get it." And then from that day
I can
on,
schedule my massage. Yeah.
go get the Burke Williams app down along with the Down syndrome app, okay? Because you're gonna use them both, you know. And then any Monday on any given week, you just text that guy, Frankie's having
weekend.
kind of a bad day. And you take as much time as you need
You're right,
to deal with Frankie. You go, yeah, it can be a little overwhelming at times. And you're done. You're never, no questions.
Yeah.
Because you have a baby, that eventually ends, but this is like extending
This
that.
gets the gift that keeps giving. The period is good. Using the period excuse is good, but you can't use that once a week. You know? You got to plan that out. You know what I mean?
And then
He's going to get your schedule
You
down.
worked at the company for 10 years, and then you just get your kid to act retarded.
Right. But what if there's like
At the
a
Christmas
company
party.
party?
With the
Company party, you have the kids just running around.
With the app, I don't think the kid ever has to show up because at some point the kid's going to be 10, but the app's still going to work. Now you got a retarded 10-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And then, they go, why don't you bring Frankie to the picnic, the company picnic? The noises may.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sometimes he's not good around a lot of loud
He needs
noises.
earmuffs.
I just don't. It could be triggering, and then you'll get. Take tomorrow off.
Of course.
Take tomorrow off. Yeah, take care of Frankie, and you won't have to
brilliant.
get specific. All you do is Frankie's having a bad day, and that's it. That's it. Just take as much time.
Yeah. I think I could pull this off.
Frankie. First off, his name's Frankie.
Yeah.
So you're there.
Step one.
The app exists. I think
there.
my dad probably would have used that app if it existed when I
Get
was young.
College scholarships.
Oh, well, that's the second. Okay, so it'd be good if you need a little advancement or a little extra cash. Like Frankie's in-home care is a little more expensive than we thought, and I know it's a little early for a raise, but Frankie's in-home care is not covered by insurance.
And then just hire an assistant or somebody.
No, just get the cash. That's my whole point. You guys aren't thinking right. Bring them to the fucking party, hiring it. No, that's cash. That's in your pocket.
That's brilliant. But what if they have to see him one day just to help he act retarded?
This is your work life. This is not your home life. Yeah,
you're right.
no.
I never have to
When they force you to go to a sexual harassment seminar, you say, "Oh, Frankie, I got to go get Frankie."
What if they find this podcast, though?
Yeah. No, I'm just praying that Twitter hits us with the filter.
You want to get out of anything, you're sitting there, it's a little boring, you're getting the sexual harassment or the cultural sense of, you just look at that phone. Uh-oh, Frankie's having
He's not having a bad day.
Go ahead. We'll just sign your name on the thing. You're good. You're good.
Brilliant.
You
You
don't
do the
have to
company
bring them
Christmas
in.
party in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Walk
Everybody
in,
should be
oh
doing
shit,
this.
I got to go, Frankie.
Yeah.
No. Well, hold
Frankie.
on. Wait, you don't want to leave the Christmas party.
Well, if it's lame. If you just got to show up
I feel
and
like
see the
all you
boss.
guys are missing the boat a little bit.
Let's get the
You
cash.
want to go to the Christmas party and get drunk for free, but you don't want to bring Frankie because your 10-year-old's not a good enough thespian to act retarded for a 2-hour Christmas party. But he can't. It's too noisy
That's
for
where
him.
you're
He
wrong.
can't-
I'd be like, Frankie, we've been training for this your whole life.
But they've seen the pictures in the app, and when he shows up in real life, they go, "Oh, he's kind of a good-looking." That's not
Wait,
what
wait,
it
looks
is. Yeah.
good.
No, what do you mean? Anytime Frankie leaves the house, he wears a boxing helmet just in case.
Yeah, look, you guys can make fun of this if you want. I'm not
No,
joking.
it's a brilliant idea.
Look, you're on the road. You don't need it. But your husband's going to have to
He
take
might need this.
a civilian gig at some point.
He does have one currently. Yeah.
Bring in the picture of Frankie. Put him up on the app.
Gotta get out.
That's it.
Your lock screen is a retarded picture of Frankie.
We're done. All right. We'll take a break. Do the news right after this. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags, huh? Yeah, not red ones. What are good ones? We often hear about the red flags and what we need to avoid, but what do you want to focus on? What are you looking for? What are the green flags? That signals the start of the race, the green flag, not the checkered. Red is caution. Anyway, what are you looking for out of your friends and your partners? Well, BetterHelp can help. Look, it's something I've talked about with Dr. Drew for a long time, something I've always been interested in, therapy. Get your head right, and the rest of life magically falls into place. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. It is BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and flexible. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly. Auto Parts. Wow. Yeah, you know the jingle. Yeah, they're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you need for maintenance and for repairs as well. I've always been a fan of O'Reilly. You know, I like the wrench. Used to use the one over in North Hollywood. Then it was the one up in La Cañada, or La Crescenta when I used to live out there. I'm always working on my stuff and always using O'Reilly. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you're going to find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts to be knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Do it today. Or you can visit us online, O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. This is Paul from Idaho. Just wondering, when are you going on Gavin Newsom's new podcast? All right, get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
I have not gotten the invite yet, and I don't suspect I will, but who knows?
I think you will.
All right. Well, we shall
Fingers
see.
crossed.
All right. News.
Mayor Bass, her election opponent, says recall effort against her is not a good idea. The Los Angeles businessman who ran against Karen Bass in the 2022 election announces opposition Tuesday to the recall effort to unseat her as the city's mayor.
That's Rick Caruso.
Real estate magnate, former mayoral candidate Rick Caruso released a statement about the recall effort, calling it a costly political distraction in the aftermath of January's deadly wildfires.
It's always funny what we have to do in L.A. is we're so blue that Rick Caruso has to run as a Democrat. But then people like my mom is like, he's not a real Democrat, like, because he's smart and wants to do shit and is efficient. We need someone. Yeah, that he's pretending to be dumb, but he's not really dumb. Like, he's not really feckless and dumb like Karen Bass. He's a smart guy pretending to be dumb, so I'll vote for him. Well, it's not going to work.
He's using the retarded filter.
Yeah, he's using the retarded filter. So we went, I know we only vote for Democrats, but that guy, he builds stuff and makes payrolls and is smart and effective. Don't give me that Democrat bullshit. I know a Democrat when I see one, and that's her. Where's our plane ticket to Ghana, by the way? We got to celebrate. Like he would never go to Ghana and put on ceremonial garb during a windstorm. That's us, baby. So don't let it fool you. He's not real.
How cool and smooth is it of him to like say, no. Let's rebuild L.A. And then, it kind of really makes him look good.
But if they do a recall of her, is it him or is it just some other ditzy broad who's going to be
no one on the ballot? It's just we vote for a recall and then we go to the election.
It's a whole
Rick Caruso
process.
kind of has a point. Something I think we have his video. You should listen to his explanation.
Is somebody the front
makes
runner?
sense.
Because he said he's not doing it again.
He hasn't said. Well, also you got to think there's a governor race in California in 2026. Yeah. Why wouldn't Rick Caruso want to be the fucking governor of California and not,
because Kamala Harris is a retarded woman of color, and that's who we want to govern us. Versus a non-retarded white guy who would do a good job.
Boring.
But by the way, we don't look like heroes. Electing a white guy who's good.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first saw this headline, I'll see if I can find the exact headline, but it was the Los Angeles Times, and they couched the headline as if Rick Caruso was supporting Karen Bass.
All right,
let's listen to this.
If you're going to do a recall now, what's going to happen is the city is going to end up spending $25 to $30 million, which it doesn't have because we've already been told that the city's broke. And then it's going to take 8 to 10 months, and it's going to run up to the June primary. And people in June are going to have an opportunity to vote for or against the mayor. And so why do it now? And I think it's a waste of money, waste of resources. And one last thing. We've got so many things the mayor needs to deal with in this city and deal with it well with a lot of focus. Rebuilding in the Palisades. We still have a major homeless problem. All of these kind of things. The crime, it's going to be a diversion to her and her team. And we don't need her attention diverted right now.
Yeah. In a backhanded way. No, he's supporting Los Angeles. He's not supporting Karen Bass. I respect that.
Another thing I heard Randy Wang on KABC say is that if she's under a recall while in office, she can use city funds to defend herself and thus double dip where
Perfect.
So it's like, okay, Caruso, stop being smart, but I agree with him.
All right. And he's also saying by the time we get all up in this, we'll be at the next.
We'll be voting anyway.
We'll be
the
voting
primary.
anyway. All right.
But everyone wants a pound of flesh, and I understand that. And everyone, everyone wants to get her out. But
all right. What else you got, man?
All right. Look, in horrific news, grandmother mauled to death by pit bulls that were high on cocaine.
No.
Yeah, there's a lawsuit. An Ohio grandmother was mauled to death by her neighbor's pit bulls, which were later found to be high on cocaine, according to the lawsuit. This story is just maddening.
This sounds like a perfect sequel to the movie Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, no, the dogs got high on coke and got out before, and they caught him and gave him back, and they were in the process of getting rid of this guy's pit bulls, and they once again got into the coke stash and mauled this lady who was just minding her own business and working in the community garden.
The community garden.
Yeah, her disabled husband watched as this happened.
I was sure it wasn't a filter. He's like, he just didn't want to help. He just was like, I can't. I can't help.
The disabled husband, I guess. Well, first off, what's he even doing? Like, I'm going to watch you till soil while I sit here. Like, it's kind of a weird thing for a disabled person to watch somebody do.
Well, no, I mean, I'm pretty sure he wasn't watching her garden. I think he came out as the dogs were mauling the lady, kind of helpless to do anything.
Man.
He should have created a diversion. He should have come out with some meat. And just like, hey, over here,
heroin or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the guy's son, oh man, the dead woman's son, Bill Rogers says, how do you not look at them as the villain responsible for killing your mom about the dogs? I don't know, man. This one gets me fired up. My mom likes the garden. If somebody's man, they would not make it to the prison. You know what I mean?
And pit bulls are kind of bad enough.
My mom,
nothing could stop me from getting this guy.
Well, we've established that your mom was a sandwich maker.
Yes.
Whereas I
was a saint.
I don't have as strong of feelings about saving my mom from pit bulls. Because she's not a sandwich. She was not a sandwich maker. You have to ask yourself, was your mom a sandwich maker? And if the answer is yes, then there was love. There was great love. Was your mom a sandwich maker?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jellies, but she did make sandwiches.
The act of sandwich making is the act of love. I've really been thinking about it.
Wow.
It's like you take time, you get things out, you sort of lay it out, and it's all spreading the love around. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not just spreading the creamy Jif. It's spreading the love.
Your mom didn't make you sandwiches?
Well, there were sandwich issues at my house.
Really?
Yeah, because sandwiches would require sliced bread and not 14-grain unsprouted whole wheat hippie bread.
Oh, okay.
Whole wheat hippie bread doesn't work. And when you so if you take Wonder Bread, you take white bread, and then you take this sort of processed Peter Pan peanut butter or Skippy, smooth. You just take that shit out and it just glides like a Zamboni right over the top of that shit. Okay. If you take 17 grain unsprouted whole wheat bread and lay that shit, first off, good luck even getting it to sit flat. It does what it wants, you know? And then you get the unblanched, unsalted, raw health food peanut butter with no stabilizers in it. It's got its oil slick at the top.
Yep.
You take that shit and you try to rub it on that bread, it rolls over the top of it and eventually turns into a wheel and it just sucks up gravel. Then you get to the end and then you have to treat it like silly putty on the funny pages. You have to spread it out, like try to press it down. You know, it's like putting a toupee on or something. Like stick it down. And then there's no Smucker's grape jelly because all that is corn syrup and purple dye number 14. You got honey.
Oh, no.
And the honey ain't the squeeze bear. No squeeze bear. That's plastic. It's a jar of honey. So now you got to take the fucking knife out and try to spread the honey over the top of the 14 grain. And then you bite in it and the fucking bread falls apart and everything drips. The honey.
Dry ass mouth.
No air conditioning in the house. San Fernando Valley. 108 degrees outside. The fucking honey's drip. It's liquefied. It's dripping everywhere.
My God.
No sandwich. All right. Good. That's peanut butter and jelly.
Wow.
Well, what about
cold cuts?
What about ham?
Yeah.
And what about cold? Meat is murder, bro.
Oh, no.
You think you're going to have a bunch of fucking Oscar Mayer cold cuts and pre-sliced cheese and shit with fucking mayonnaise? No. That's meat is murder. You know, and also cold cuts, I mean, they're kind of ubiquitous now. But cold cuts were a big ticket item back then. That wasn't cheap. You had to go to the fucking deli and get the guy to slice the provolone and slice the smoked ham. No fucking way. There's no way that was happening. They didn't even really... They sold like bologna, which my mom would have never done because that's the man, you know, processed and everything else. So now you've eliminated turkey, you've eliminated ham. You have a kind of place saver peanut butter, but not really. It's not. You guys don't know what it's like to eat a health food peanut butter sandwich.
I've had
That's
that.
the fuck. And by the way, as soon as you bite it, it welds to the top of your mouth. Spend the whole fuck. You have one bite. 20 minutes later, you're still chewing it like cud. You're just 14 grain bread. You got your fucking finger out. You're trying to peeling it off the top of your mouth. It is not the peanut butter sandwich you're thinking of.
Yeah.
It's a shit show.
Wow.
So there's no sandwich.
But you grew up in such a healthy house, it sounds like.
No.
The problem is then you get an unhealthy appetite for the good stuff when you leave the house. You know what I mean? And that's where the problem comes in. But look, let's not make it about me.
I should have brought you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Ooh.
You know what I argue about? I think I wrote about it in one of my books, but it's really the only sandwich that gets better with time. Like,
yes,
you could make it at 7 a.m. and put it in your bag and go to school, and at noon it's better.
Yeah, even if it's mush,
other sandwiches decline over that. These actually, the oil emulsifies with the bread a little bit.
It becomes one.
Yeah,
you're right.
But not this sandwich. Not the health food one. The health food one you can't even transport. It's too heavy.
No,
can't move it.
Yeah, and
it falls apart. You know, Wonder Bread's a little chewy, like got a little doughiness in it. The 17 grain sprouted shit, it just fucking falls apart.
The Ezekiel bread, I've had it.
Ugh.
Yeah,
and the peanut butter doesn't keep it bound together. That just rolls. It's a shit show.
It falls off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In ice cream news, Ben & Jerry's is accusing its parent company, Unilever, of breaching its merger agreement by ousting the ice cream company's CEO for the brand's repeated public comments on progressive issues, removing its chief executive without the board's approval. So
Ben & Jerry's is so woke and so progressive. It's so weird.
Yeah, I haven't bought from them in years.
Oh, really?
No, it's just they've been woke for quite some time now, and it's like, thank God for Haagen. I was like, if Haagen-Dazs pulls this shit, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So it's really like one company was pro-choice, Ben and Jerry's, and then one company built ovens that Jews were put in World War II. Right. And Chrissy's like, I'm going with the Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
Haagen-Dazs sounds like a camp in Poland, doesn't it? My great-grandfather was rounded up and taken to Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
And he's put on a cattle train and he was taken straight to Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs camp.
Yeah,
spent the whole war there.
My grandpa almost died at Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah,
he fell off the guard tower.
My great uncle helped liberate Haagen-Dazs in '44.
When we rolled over Haagen-Dazs, Hitler was running.
I really am German. My dad's side is German, and my dad's dad was a German soldier. And I was like, was grandfather a Nazi, Dad? And he was telling me, like, well, the Nazis were the top of the top. Like, they were the alpha, like, best. And, grandfather was, like, not. But he was, I don't know. He might have been who knows? He was probably Nazi adjacent. It's kind
of a good thing. Like, I wasn't smart enough to be a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you go, oh, you're doing that. It's kind of like people have a defense where they go sometimes like, I didn't know the guy couldn't operate a tractor. It's like, you should have known I was too stupid to drive a tractor. Yeah. Like, oh, I like when you're claiming it, you know?
Yeah.
But, where is Haagen-Dazs out of?
Yeah, it's definitely a German word. No,
it's probably an American company.
Oh, it is now, but it started as something. It had to start as
the
something.
Nazis would eat ice cream after they, killed Jews.
Oh my God!
It was invented by Ruben Matthys, the founder of the brand. Danish tribute to Denmark's treatment of Jews during World War II. What? No way. Hold on. Let me read this again. The name Haagen-Dazs was invented by Ruben Matthys, the founder of the brand, the founder of the brand, to sound Danish as a tribute to Denmark's treatment of Jews during World War II. Though it's a made-up word. Hold on a second, I'm trying to read here. Though it's a made-up word with no real meaning in Danish, founded in 1960 by Ruben and Matthys in the Bronx, New York, with the goal of creating high-quality ice cream. So they're in the Bronx, and no one wants to have it named after something cool. So they made up the word Haagen-Dazs.
Wow.
Like Yabba Dabba.
But where the hell did the Jews part come in?
I really didn't know Jews were part of this origin story.
I told you were supporting it.
Now I'm even more for it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Ben and Jerry's initial lawsuit filed in November 2024 alleged Unilever silenced its attempts to publicly support Palestinian refugees and resolutions to end military aid to Israel, where the company had done business since 1987.
I just feel like people who make ice cream should make ice cream, and people who make cars should make cars, and students should just be students and go to fucking college. Like, just everyone shut up. All this. By the way, I don't want Haagen-Dazs or Ben and Jerry's announcing who they support, and I don't want you telling me you're bisexual. Just go about your fucking business. Just go about. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Just show up, be a student, work here, buy that, and shut the fuck up. That's all.
That's all I got. Used to be.
That's how it used to be. Ruben and Rose Matthys were Polish Jewish entrepreneurs who founded the Haagen-Dazs ice cream business in the United States. There is some sort of Holocaust connection, evidently. I thought I made that up.
I thought so too.
All right. What else we got?
We got another story. The Gorilla, Stephen Gorillo from the Howard Stern show wrote a book, and his big thing is Howard Stern made a political U-turn to please A-list pals.
Oh, wait. Grillo? Was it
Sounds
Steve
familiar.
Grillo?
Yeah, Gorilla. Remember, he was an intern on the Howard Stern show before you took it over. The guy was like, he just really bagged on him a lot. He said that once he got the job, it became a nightmare with him being egged on into humiliating himself, but gave him a taste of fame.
Right. So he wrote a book, and he said what in the book?
He said he never wanted to be on the air, but Howard Stern kind of pulled him on there as an intern. Said the place was a snake pit. You never knew when you were going to get set up.
Wow.
Yeah, he was always a nervous wreck, and it got worse when they brought me on the show. I had Robin Quivers cackling in my ear, and somebody would be throwing balls of paper in my face. Then I would have Howard staring at me, his piercing blue eyes darting all over the place, trying to make me look worse than I already did.
Yeah, but he says
that he definitely got George Pataki, elected governor of New York, and he was a big Rudy Giuliani supporter. And
but
he says it's gross to see what he's turned into. I think it's quite pathetic, to be honest.
Well, okay, so listen, I've told people this 100 million times when they sort of go, what's going on with all these Hollywood folks? If you make an announcement, you don't have to make an announcement. Your politics, if they don't align with their politics, then they won't come on your show. That's sort of their steadfast rule. That's how they do it. They've done it. They've always done it that way. And I don't know why. I don't get why that needs to happen, but that's the rule. So if you are doing a show and you announce, let's just say, I'll take somebody I don't know well, but let's just say Jimmy Fallon announced that he was voting for Trump. Now, Jimmy Fallon may have very well voted for Trump. I know somebody voted for Trump because he's the fucking president. But let's just say Jimmy Fallon announced he voted for Trump. Then he would his guest bookings would immediately dry up.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is he'd have a meeting after the show, and he'd say, is Clooney coming on Monday? And they'd go, no, Kevin Sorbo's coming on Monday. And they go, what happened? And they go, Clooney dropped out. And then they go, oh, but is Matt Damon coming on Tuesday? And they'd go, no, you remember Chachi? Remember Scott Baio? Yeah, he's filling in. And then he'd go, wait a minute, what happened to I thought, wasn't Jane Fonda coming in on Friday? No, the chick that got thrown off the Disney, the UFC fighter. What's her name? She's what's her name? Come on, you fought UFC.
I trained with her.
Riley Gaines is a swimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Thursday.
Yeah. What about the My Pillow guy?
Oh, Mike Lindell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember I told you Jamie Foxx was coming in on? No, we got Mike Lindell.
Oh.
He's a last-minute replacement. Yeah, so that's
Rock.
next week. We're doing a whole Kid Rock week.
Ooh.
That'll be the week. The week after that is the Kid Rock
He's
week.
going to be in
Brett
studio
Favre.
and musical guest. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the new bookings. So if you'd like to be in with the Hollywood crowd, and Stern was the king of all media, but never got those people on his show.
Yeah.
So you must be more accommodating to those people. Now, I would like to live in a world where no one gave a shit and they just come on your show regardless. But those days are gone, and Trump ended them.
I don't know. I think it's coming back. I think the fact that a lot of right-wing personalities are like becoming well-established, and in that sphere, people kind of have to get both sides of the eyeballs. What do you care if your movie, you know what I mean, it goes to right-wing or left-wing dollars?
Here's the thing. If the numbers are so overwhelming, if you're going on a late-night show that gets, 900,000 views, or Joe Rogan that gets 21 million views, then at some point commerce kicks in and you go, I'm going to go. But that's with shows that have lots and lots of eyeballs. In a world where everything's sort of in the middle somewhere, then those shows shall be boycotted. So that's how it goes. So Stern changed his politics and then changed his bookings, and that's why he's talking to Jane Fonda and the like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Who's a horrible person, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the worst.
It'll be interesting to see what happens after Trump, because even though Trump overwhelmingly, he's in office, most people wanted him there. It's still maybe a little bit the stink of the first term, and a lot of people still have that lingering TDS. It'll be interesting to see what happens after Trump, whoever the next president is, how partisan.
They'll keep going.
Is.
No,
Yeah.
JD Vance, they're going to say the same thing. It's going to be a bunch of racist, misogynist talk or whatever. It'll be the same thing. It'll be losing our democracy. It'll be the exact same. They'll do it about. They'll try it on Mitt Romney. They'll just whoever racist losing our democracy. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. All right, that's enough news because we got to move on.
Well, I'm out.
Ross Douthat, who's a really interesting thinker, and I know it because I shared the stage with him in Austin a couple of weeks ago, giving a sort of debate on religion. We're going to talk to him. I'm going to say bye to Chrissie and Mayhem, and I'll give everyone a plug after the show, but good job. We'll be right back right after this.
Adam Carolla's on the road. San Diego, April 11th and 12th at the American Comedy Club. Port Charlotte, Florida, May 2nd and 3rd at Vasani's Italian Steakhouse and Comedy Theater. And Melbourne, Florida on May 4th at the Melbourne Auditorium. Get tickets for these shows and a whole lot more at adamcarolla.com.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Clearwater Beach, Florida. 66 and 60-year-old sisters were arrested after a physical altercation when the older sister did not mention her niece in the eulogy for her father. The fight occurred at St. Brendan's Catholic Church. Definitely not a Jew.
All right. Ross Douthat is on the other end of this. I ran into Ross, it was about 3 weeks ago. We did our debate.
Yeah, it was the angels wept. You wiped the floor with me. Heaven was defeated. Atheism triumphed. And now I'm back for more punishment. It's a pleasure.
Well, you did a great job. I need the name of the woman who put the debate on, please. Thank you. Sorry, Barry.
Barry.
I was brain farting on Barry Weiss's name, so I told my guys to put all the names on there, but I missed the one who put on the debate. But okay, now we got it. Sorry. I was initially told I was going to make the argument for religion, and I was happy about that. And I was happy to do it, and then I was informed I was making the argument against religion.
Well, you're a professional, Adam. You were ready.
Yeah, I thought you did a wonderful job, and I was listening to what you're saying, and I was sadly thinking I'm going to have to argue against this, but I do agree ostensibly with what you were saying the whole time, Ross.
Well, it's good. It's good to know. It's good to know. I'm glad I did okay.
Yeah, we ended up. My side ended up winning the debate with Michael Shermer, and but it was a hollow victory for me.
Well, it was a setup where they poll the audience at these debates beforehand, and something like 75% of the audience was on our side. Our side was arguing that America needs a religious revival, and your side was saying, hell no. Even if you didn't believe in it. And so you guys moved the needle, I think, from like 75 to 65%. So we were still ahead at the end. I comfort myself with that. But you won over some waverers. So, good job. God will get you in the end. An extra year or two in purgatory for both of us, probably. But
yeah. You don't need to take the name off the screen that I asked you to put on the screen, by the way. Sorry for being a douche this day, but I'm in a mood. It's weird. Why take it off? Okay. Anyway, sorry. Everything bugs me. That's going to be the name of my next book. But Ross, so the book, I should say, it's a new book, Believe, Why Everyone Should Be Religious. Compelling case for the rationality of religious belief in the modern world. So you did a great job up on stage in Austin. So why not do that now?
Sure, I can redo it. Now that I know that you're, persuadable or gettable on the fence. So the argument I made there was basically there isn't like one slam dunk, put the debate away argument for the existence of God or for being religious. It's more that there's a bunch of converging lines, and they're lines that include things that we know from science and reason and sort of modern discoveries and so on. And the first and most basic one is it's not just that the universe that we find ourselves in is orderly and beautiful and interesting and all of these things. It's also that we've figured out that it's fine-tuned in all these crazy ways that give basically a sort of one in quadrillion chance of ending up with a planet like ours, life forms like ours, and so on. And so to be an atheist with that evidence, you basically have to convince yourself that there must be an infinity of other universes that we can't see. This is the multiverse, right? It's famous from Marvel movies and so on. But you need all of those universes to do away with what is otherwise pretty clear evidence that somebody set the whole system in motion with some kind of intention that probably included us. Mm-hmm. So that's the first line of argument. The second line of argument is that human consciousness, even with everything we know about neuroscience, the actual experience of consciousness, what it's like to be a human being, the fact that we can reason about the world, understand it, sort of step outside our impulses and ourselves, that's still incredibly mysterious. And there's this really interesting matchup between the big order of the cosmos and our ability to understand it. And when you get down into the really weird stuff in science nowadays, stuff in quantum physics, there's also a lot of arguments. And, this isn't just like California woo, Gwyneth Paltrow, candle stuff. Like, this is actually the science that suggests that our consciousness is sort of entangled with material reality, right? So it's like consciousness and the material go together. Consciousness maybe shapes the material world. This is why people in Silicon Valley get into the idea that we're living in a simulation or something. But that's pretty interesting. And then you have just the resilience of religious experience, that even in a world where lots of people are secular, official religion doesn't have a lot of power anymore, most people don't go to church, people keep on having religious experiences of all shapes, sizes, and forms. And you even get more of them of some kinds, right? You get a lot more near-death experiences, for instance, in 21st century modernity than you ever did before, because, hey, guess what? We bring a lot more people back from the dead. So right. In the book, I basically say, look, you take these three lines and you say, this is what the world would look like if there was some kind of higher power that had some kind of interest in what we were doing. And if that's the case, life is short, death is certain, and there's a pretty good case for going to church or synagogue or your local mosque. The book is trying to be ecumenical, but it's trying to make that argument. It's not just, what we were doing at the debate was arguing in part about, is religion good for America? And I spent a lot of time sort of tangling with the old new atheists, including Michael Shermer, who was your debating partner, and saying, look, the new atheists 15, 20 years ago said, guess what? If we get rid of religion, America will be more enlightened, more scientific, more rational, less polarized, all these things. And everyone can see that isn't the case. And so maybe religion was actually doing something important in society all along. And I think that's true. But I'm trying to get a little bit beyond that. I'm not just saying be religious because it's good for you. You'll be a better husband or father. You'll feel better about the world. I'm saying there's probably a God, makes a lot of sense of a lot of things about the world. You should probably take it seriously, while there's time to do so.
Yeah, my general philosophies, I just sort of act as if, like, maybe there's a God, maybe there's not a God, but I'm just going to live as if there is one, even though I don't really think there is one, but I'll just not screw people over and kind of take care of people and be semi-righteous and follow. I like the Ten Commandments, as I said. I'm a big fan of the Ten Commandments. But
all of them, you're sure you're not carving a graven image in the back of the pot? I mean, people. There's always one that people struggle with.
I get that my neighbor in Burbank doesn't have an oxen to covet, but or maybe she does. I haven't really.
Not that you know of.
I haven't
mean,
looked
you don't know
into
what
her oxen situation.
Don't covet. I saw something about a guy who had to take down a big treehouse in LA.
Yes.
Yeah. So, somebody coveted their neighbor's treehouse and called the city on them. But I guess
let's break that down. Let's break that down for a second. Yeah, I had the bizarre experience of being a former builder in LA and having to pull permits times a million projects and doing great battle with the permitting department in LA constantly, because as you can imagine, it's overregulated. And I literally was looking at a rental home because I got displaced in the Malibu fire that was one street over. And as I was driving home from looking at the rental house, I commented and I said, "Look at that treehouse." And my girlfriend said, "Wow, that's amazing." And then the next thing out of my mouth is, "I can't believe LA has let him build a treehouse in his front yard," which is bad. It means LA's bad. But I was looking at it from a builder perspective. Yep. And I just said, "I can't believe they let him do that. I can't believe they haven't torn that thing down." And 3 days later, they were tearing it down.
God.
So
well, see, you had an intimation of the divine right there.
That's what
divine
it was.
Prophecy spoke through you, Adam.
Yes, but was the neighbor who complained, was that neighbor coveting the tree house, or was that just sort of some Karen who was bored?
I think if we invoked some kind of rabbinic authority on the Ten Commandments, they would say that the idea of coveting your neighbor's things is a broader category than just, I want it for myself. It can also be, I'm envious that this person has this thing and I have an impulse to do away with it. I think I think any good reading of the Ten Commandments says each one goes a little bit beyond just the letter of the law. So yeah, I think anyone who looks at a treehouse in their neighbor's yard, and especially one that I think it had been here for a long time, right? I saw the video of the guy taking it down. He had all these people talking, giving testimonials. Their kids had played in it. Anyone who looks at that and says, "Fuck you, I'm calling the city," is in violation of the will of Yahweh, I think.
Yeah, and Dawson, you can find it somewhere because I forgot to get into it, but there was, there's so much to talk about. Nithya Raman, the dingbat who gave the speech about Toyota being responsible for the thefts of their catalytic converters because they were making it so easy to steal. That same dingbat, her office was the one who was in charge of taking down.
Yep.
It's so funny. I said, and I say this to everybody, I go, listen, when you're listening to Nithya Raman, who went to Harvard, I try to,
nobody's perfect.
I try to tell everyone, the dingbat who's giving you the speech blaming Toyota for making their catalytic converter so easy to steal, even though it's welded into the center of the car, that same dingbat is making other policies. She's taking her dingbat brain and bringing it to treehouse safety. You see, it's not just that, it's this. And I found out that was her office, and she gave, they made a comment, a statement. And the statement, I'll paraphrase, but the statement basically said, look, we get it, like it's not a good look, but we have to deal with the safety concerns of the neighbor. Right. And my whole thing is, do you have to deal with the safety concerns of the neighbor who should be following the Ten Commandments?
Is the neighbor climbing the treehouse? Does the neighbor go up in the tree and sit there and think, "Oh man, I could really fall out of this treehouse I just climbed up"? Is the neighbor? I guess the neighbor finds themselves tempted, maybe, by the glory of the treehouse. That could be it.
My thing whenever I read these articles is no, you do not need to concern yourself with a crazy person's prejudice. You know, like for some reason this person doesn't like this treehouse. I don't know what that sound is, but I'm hearing a weird little chime. That could be. Oh, okay. Either way, we have that. We have the statement there, Dawson. Sorry if somebody has it. It's crazy, but I literally the week before I was explaining that Nithya Raman with her 10-cent head is applying that to many other facets of things that affect your life. That same dingbat was in charge of COVID decisions as well that shut schools down for a year and a half. So please, even though it's entertaining to see these idiots talk about catalytic converters and blame Toyota, understand their damage is spread out far wider than just catalytic converters.
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking here honestly about, I think, what's one of the big stumbling blocks to people believing in God, which is even if they could partially buy into some of the arguments I just sketched, which is, the problem of evil, right? The world is a flawed and fallen place. And obviously there are worse things than officious bureaucrats taking down tree houses. But, I think a lot of people naturally look around and say, what kind of God would make a world where the officious bureaucrat, where an angel doesn't descend and stop the officious bureaucrat, to say nothing of worse things, right?
What's the temperature? And we'll find that comment at some point. I tweeted it, I'm pretty sure. It was the official comment from her office on the treehouse, so it's got to be somewhere. But here's the question, Ross. The New York Times, they had an op-ed piece a week ago that basically said, maybe we got duped on the whole COVID origin story, which is like, oh, welcome to the party, New York Times. Everyone knew that. That's 5 years old now. But all right, the New York Times is having to correct a little bit or shift direction a little bit or let in some voices that maybe they wouldn't hear several years ago. You see a little bit of it on CNN. Some of it is financial. The LA Times is undergoing a transition back to sort of normal reporting instead of advocacy for left-wing causes. What's it like for a religious dude like you working over there at the New York Times? And have you noticed a change in temperature or attitude?
I mean, I think I'm not going to go deep into my own workplace except to say that the religion part of my life has always been pretty welcome at the Times. I think.
How long have you been at the Times?
I've been at the Times since 2009, so a heck of a long time, I should say. And my impression on the religion stuff is always that even in these really liberal and secular spaces, which obviously big newspapers tend to be, there's lots of people who are interested in religion, intrigued by it, have a certain respect for it, and just can't quite get over the hump of really believing. But if you believe, they take you seriously if you're serious about it. I think in terms of institutions as a whole, every major institution in America went a little nuts in the COVID era, in the summer of 2020 in particular. It's a combination of the pandemic, everything shut down, Donald Trump, the sort of anti-Trumpism, the George Floyd protests, everything else. And every institution, colleges, newspapers, poetry societies who purged their membership because it was supposed to be an anti-racist gesture. All those institutions have spent a certain amount of time trying to sort of walk back from those positions. And frankly, I think just this week, the University of California system announced that they weren't going to require DEI statements from prospective faculty, which is something that they had put in late in the Trump era. So they are like the UC University system, certainly one of the more liberal enterprises in America, has sort of passed peak wokeness, right? Whatever else. But the other thing, I think this is more a point about the last year or so. I think there was always a sense for a lot of people in elite institutions that, there was normalcy and then there was Trump and COVID and those things disrupted normalcy. But normalcy was Barack Obama is president. Liberalism is sort of in the driver's seat. Liberals know what they're doing. Conservatives don't. You can trust liberal institutions. And a lot of the reckoning that I think we're seeing is just a sense that, like, actually that normalcy, that world isn't coming back. I was listening to you talking earlier, going back and forth about like which shows people get invited on, do celebrities go on conservative shows, these kind of things. And I think there's just been a change in the media landscape just in the last few years where, like, if you look at how Trump ran for president, right? Going on Theo Vaughn's show, going on Joe Rogan's show, all these kind of things. There's just a whole media universe that was just not really there 4 or 5 years ago. And that universe comes with problems. Like, I don't think you want to, if you're a critic of the liberal establishment, you don't want to over romanticize the alternatives and say, everything Joe Rogan talks about is going to be smart because, everything the New York Times says was wrong or something. Like, Joe Rogan's had some guests on his show just in the last few months where I've been like, what are you doing there, right? So every institution can have its problems, but I do think there's a real sense right now that whatever is happening, we're not going back. We're not going back to the Obama era. We're in a new, much weirder world, and everyone is sort of wrestling with that fact.
But when you go to work, does it feel a little different than it felt 5 years ago? Let's say, like, is it, like I said, I don't know. That seems to be the general vibe I'm getting, but could you feel anything?
I would say, for me personally, as a conservative who writes a lot for a liberal audience, there was a period, especially right after the election, where I had predicted that Trump was going to win when most people I knew in the liberal world thought Kamala was going to win. And I felt like I had sort of analyzed the election correctly. And yeah, I think I think I had a certain sense of, that I understood certain things about the world, right?
Yeah.
That maybe parts of the liberal intelligentsia didn't. Now, again, though, that can change really quickly, right? Like, if the Trump presidency goes badly, nobody's going to be like, hey, Ross Douthat, that guy's a genius. You gotta listen to him, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything can change. But yes, I think post-election, Trump winning so handily, winning the popular vote, all of these things, there was definitely a spirit of sort of reassessment in a lot of places.
We have the statement. Was I correct about this? It was from Nithya Raman's office?
Yeah. Andrew Reesmeyer, who is covering the story for KTLA, responded to you about this. He said he's been covering the treehouse story, and this from the councilwoman's office. The treehouse only came to the attention of the city because of concerns brought up by community members. I have deep empathy for how frustrating it is to deal with the city's bureaucracy, but our office's goal was always to preserve the treehouse while addressing community concerns. I sincerely wish that we had been able to have a different outcome and that we had more time to bring about a better resolution.
All right, so your goal was to save the treehouse, but you sent orders out to destroy the treehouse.
Well, so that's not the spirit of, a vibe shift or a reassessment, because a big part of what went wrong for liberals in the last 5 or 10 years is contained just in the language of community members, right? It's the idea that you have this thing called the community, and there are people who can claim to speak for the community, which in politics means activist groups. In neighborhood communities, it means the person who's mad about the treehouse, right? And they're the voice of the community, and they get this special deference, right? And so a lot of liberalism just went in for the idea that you have these activists, they speak for racial or religious minorities, they represent them, you have to listen to the activists. And then in the end, the racial minorities went and voted for Trump, right?
Yeah,
so that's the liberal problem in a nutshell.
Well, first off, the guy who worked as a writer for The Simpsons, who I would guess would be typically liberal, is not voting liberal anymore because he just got jacked up by liberal policies, essentially. So Nithya's wanted to save the treehouse, but the concerns were the community. By the way, once we started letting them use terms like community, all of a sudden we went, oh, okay, worry about the community. I want to be specific. What danger is posed to the community for this 23-year-old treehouse that people grew up enjoying? And then I would just go, why don't we put it to a community vote then? Everybody on Hesby Street, there's 10 houses on one side, there's 10 houses on his block, on one block of Hesby Street. Take a vote. Let's just see who wins here. But she's worried about the community. Also, this is another one of those answers that's a non-answer, which is she wants to address the problem of catalytic converter theft, but she blames the manufacturer of the automobile that has the catalytic converter welded to it for the theft of the catalytic converter, which means she's not going to make any progress in this department. And she wants the treehouse saved, but regrettably, it's gone. So I don't know. Possibly she's not effective. Ross, I should play you the catalytic converter clip just because it'll make you laugh. It'll bring a lot of joy.
It'll spark joy.
It's 45 seconds. I played it a million times, but it is so good. But not only is it good, just here's all you need to do. If anybody says, what is this group about? Like, what happened to Los Angeles? Why are these super blue cities failing? What is going on? If a friend of yours moves here from Hungary and goes, what happened to Los Angeles? Just play him the treehouse story and then play him this tape.
In this case, I think one of the things that really infuriates me is that we have a company, Toyota, who makes the Prius, that essentially has a device on their cars, which is super easy to remove. It's basically the value of a MacBook, right? That is put in a place that is incredibly easy to access in your car. And then the thefts related to this issue have essentially all of the costs of that are given to us to bear instead of them having to manufacture a car that actually is not so easy to be stolen.
All right, so we're doomed.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
The human situation is it's an amazing comedy.
It is. At points, Adam. When you were a child, did you ever think adults would be this stupid? And I'm not being facetious. Not when I was a child, but I did grow up and read about the 1970s, Adam. Oh,
and so, American society goes through these cycles, I think, where the cities get safer, and then people forget and get do stupid things, and then cities get dangerous again, and you hope that the cycle works its way back to something better, which it will once you're mayor of Los Angeles.
Well, I mean, the fact that person, could you imagine the look on that guy's face when they go, who's in charge of saving your treehouse? Nithya Raman. I'll go get the crowbar and the hammer and start tearing it down now. There wasn't a chance in hell some sane person who was in the city council was going to step up and yell, are you guys all fucking nuts? This guy built a treehouse. What country are we living in? What year is it? There's homeless encampments everywhere. Malibu's burnt to the ground. Altadena's burnt to the ground.
Well, you don't want the homeless person climbing the tree, Adam. That's the danger right there. You just put your finger on it.
He could sprain his ankle because he'd be up there snorting fentanyl and then fall out of that treehouse, and then we're going to have a lawsuit on our hands. Yeah. Ross, what for you? You got the book, Believe, and Ross was very impressive. I'm telling you.
I don't always just make jokes about tree houses. It's true.
He was up.
I'm a distinguished public intellectual too.
Yeah, and I was half baked and unprepared for my opening statement and beyond. And I was like, oh, man, Ross has really showed up prepared for this debate. And I was impressed. I just thought, oh, this guy's sharp.
Since I'm so sharp, my one question for you is, which wasn't fully answered at the debate, but like, what's your number one reason for not believing in God?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways you can get to not believing in God. One is it could be foisted on you as a young age, and then you could reject it at some point, which are the worst people. They're the sort of violent atheists, like aggressive, like Penn Jillette, like weird, angry, motivated atheists, And then
I mean, there are people who have legitimately bad experiences with religion, and any religious person has to have some sympathy for that impulse. But go on. So then there's the more relaxed.
Then there's the people that grew up in a vacuum of religion, which is anything, which would mean, and then you'd have to kind of go, well, why not Hindu, or why not Judaism, or why not another religion? It's like, well, there were none of them. They all stood the best chance. If in my world, there wasn't any religion of any kind. So then because I think, Ross, I think you may think, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, but I think a lot of people think the default setting is religion, but it's not really the default setting in a complete vacuum of religiosity. If there's nothing and it's never spoken of and you never go to church and it's just never even discussed, then it's just like some food that you didn't eat. I never tried poi, and all the Hawaiians would be confused, and I'd go, and I didn't have anything against poi. It just didn't exist. It was never discussed. So
no. I find that totally understandable. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I wrote this book the way I did. There's a lot of books about religion that are like, here's why you have to be a Christian. Here's why Christians are right and Muslims are wrong, and these kind of things, or these kind of things. And I felt like we're in a society now where there's just a lot more people who have your kind of experience than there ever used to be. People for whom it's like religion's just not on offer.
Right.
And so the book is trying to be an introduction. It's like, hey, Adam, here's why someone might eat koi. Here's why someone, might be really into Jamaican cuisine or something. Right. Except it's God, the author of the universe, who will judge your soul after your death. So it's even more important. I don't know.
Believe is the name of the book, Ross. Always great chatting with you.
It was great, Adam. Thanks so much for having me.
It was my pleasure. Hope to have you back soon. All right. I'm going to be in San Diego doing shows at the American Comedy Club, doing stand-up on the 11th and the 12th of April. Religious or atheists, come on down. You shall not be judged. And you can go to adamcroll.com for all live shows. And then there's Chrissie Mayr, her podcast, Chrissie Mayr Podcast, available now. And find out her live dates all over the place out there. Until next time, this is Adam for Ross and Chrissie and Mayhem saying mahalo.